That was the other thing I might do, but it might kind of be overkill for right now. Because I'd like to get back to the... Oh, hey, we got a chat. Hi, Remy Oob. Sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. What is the best way to learn C#? The way I learned these languages is just by practicing. So you have, I guess different people have different approaches or strategies that you could take for, like some people will say like, oh, go to this boot camp and you go through, you know, like a bunch of exercises. And that can be helpful to learn the initial syntax. But to me, when I was growing up and I was teaching myself to code, the only way that I actually learned and started to be able to get it was to just pick a project and try it. So like, and you can start with like a really simple project. Like this one that I'm doing is kind of an intermediate complexity project. But you just start with a really simple one. Like I want a program that like reads my name and it prints out like hello, my name or whatever. In order to do it, you can download Visual Studio. Visual Studio is free. So like, oh, that's not the right profile that I want. This one. So like if you go and just search like, oh here, I've got a separate, is it like this? No, like this, okay. If you get yourself a new tab and you just say, okay, see how it recommended me code? I'm not going to do that one because Visual Studio Code doesn't have a compiler in it. That's a different program. So you just want download Visual Studio. Oh, and look, it even tries to recommend me VS Code. If you want to get set up easily with C#, you don't want the code one. You just want this download latest free version for Visual Studio Community. So like I did this on this computer that I'm using right before I got set up. Blah, blah, blah. It wants to tell you a lot about it. You just go to this download link and it'll pop you up a thing to set up and install it. So then you just save that file, click through, install, blah, blah, blah. And so now you have the most important thing for learning, which is that you have an environment like this. You know, when this comes up, then you can do, it'll prompt you to like create a new project. You could create a new project and just name it whatever. And for the, well, just for fun, let's see. If you do new project in Visual Studio Community Edition, which is free by the way, if you pick the one called Community Edition, it's 100% free to use for personal projects and learning. And you don't have to pay anything for this. That's the one that I'm using here. I would just pick Console App because I like to learn stuff from the ground up. Like you could pick a lot of these different templates if you're like, oh, I'll build a website with it, but it's not easy to get started learning to build a website or whatever if you don't know C# or learning to build an API. There's a whole lot of advanced C# concepts that come right out of the box in these templates that are very frustrating to work with. So I would literally just pick like Console App, which is how I started this one. I started this one completely empty. And when you pick that Console App, then it'll walk you through, you know, it's just a couple of steps. Choose the name, choose where on the computer you want to save it, You could call it whatever. And then I would literally just start, yeah, pick a simple project, like maybe you want, what's a really fun one is like a calculator. I'm just going to create a file here, just to pretend this is like a brand new project. So when you create your new project, it's going to have a file for you called program.cs. It looks like this, more or less. You could leave this, I'll just leave it internal, it's fine. And it's going to have a method in it that's like, it's going to have a method that looks like this. So this is what you'll like load in with, and it might say like, it'll say something like this when you create the new project. It'll just drop you in with this existing. I'm not going to get diverted right now to do a whole C# tutorial, I guess, but the very important thing to when you start learning is that this piece of code, whatever this main thing, this is going to get executed as soon as you click the button up here with your new project. So anytime you click the button, like if you just click the button right after you start the project, then it'll tell you, you know, like hello world or whatever. It'll pop up a black screen, and on the black screen it'll print this text, hello world. And then you'll be able to change it. So you could have it, you know, print your name, and that'll execute. And then pretty much if I were gonna try to start learning to code again, I would do what I did the first time, which is pick a really simple project. Like a calculator is a good one. So like, I want to have a console application that lets the user enter 2 numbers, and then I want to print the output of adding those 2 numbers together. And you'll run into a problem. You know, you'll be like, okay, great, how do I do that? And then my advice is just Google it. Like, take the first thing you're struggling with and Google it. Just write C# and then the thing that you want to do. So like C#, how to C#, how to let user enter number in console. And so back in the day when I started, there was just like web tutorials. Now they've got like AI responses that do pretty good most of the time. And so it'll give you a thing. You notice in the program it's showing here, this is like default out of a new project, class program, static void main. So, and it'll walk you through a couple of steps. So first, you print out something into the console that asks for the number. And then you use console.readLine. So console.readLine is going to wait, and your console app is going to sit there and wait and do nothing until the user types some text and hits enter. Enter takes it down to the next line, and also it's going to return the string that they entered here. And it's telling you you're going to have to use this convert.toInt32, which takes the string value and turns it into a number value. Blah, 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 blah. And so you'll try this, and probably you'll get something wrong, and it's fine, and you'll look at the error message, and then you just Google the error message. And I'm a big fan of trying to learn by doing, trying to pick a simple project and trying to bash your head against it. The last thing I'll say about it for now, because I don't want to go on about it too much, I would like to make proper educational content at some point, so one of the ways to learn is going to be, I guess, to stick around and wait for me to do that. That's something I was going to say about it. The last thing I'll say about that for now is that there's a risk if you're trying to learn to write code, that if you go and just like find a boot camp that like walks you through step by step, and you're like, I did the step, I did the step, I did the step, great, I passed the boot camp. Or if you watch a video that's just like, oh, it's easy, you just type this and click this and blah blah blah, then you'll, you know, maybe go and do those instructions and you'll be like, oh great, and you'll start to feel like you know how to do it. But then as soon as you want to actually create something or do something, you'll open up the code window, you'll open up your Visual Studio, and your brain will just be a blank. You'll be like, I have no idea what to do. And the reason you have no idea what to do is because you were just following instructions before. And fundamentally, programming is not following instructions. Fundamentally, programming is, I have a thing that I want to happen. How do I make the computer do that? It's puzzle solving, it's problem solving, it's an interactive loop of trying to figure out what instructions to feed the computer one by one to get the thing out that you want it to do. And there's no way to learn that in a way that it's actually going to stick and become practical knowledge for you, except opening up the code window and typing. You just download the program, get in here, get you this code file or whatever, and start trying to do something. Anything, no matter how simple it is, just start trying to do it. And that's how you learn C#. And then from there, you know, you get one thing, maybe you get your calculator figured out, and you're like, great, now I want a thing that's gonna tell me happy birthday if it's my birthday. And you go and look up some stuff and figure out a simple program for that, you know, and then you just keep iterating like that, going through more and more complicated things. You'll learn about more classes in C# standard library. You'll learn more techniques for doing things. You'll see more examples that people did, and they will stick in your brain because you're going to go and try to integrate them into your own program. And you just iterate like that until you're doing more and more complicated stuff. And eventually, after you've been doing that for like several months or a couple of years, you'll be a competent C# programmer, and you'd be in a position that a company will come and be like, hey, we have this problem to solve, like we really want our users to be able to do this and we can't do it. And you'd be like, oh great, I know how to make a program that does that. And they're like, great, we'll pay you money to do that. And then you have a job as a programmer. And it just, that's all part of the reason I advocate for that approach of sitting down and trying to do it, like picking a problem and trying to solve it, is because that's how the real world works and that's how companies work. So you go to university and they teach you, they're like, here, follow these instructions, do these steps, and it comes out like this. And you're like, great, I did the steps, now I did it. But the real world is not going to, a company's not going to be like, hey, we have a job to do, go and follow this step, this step, this step, and then come back and bring me the result. In the real world, the company is going to be like, oh man, we got this problem, this sucks, we need to do this. And they don't know how to do it. They're like the management or whatever, they're like, oh, I really wish we had a piece of software that does this. And the requirements are not well defined or whatever. And you just have to jump into it and do it. So, and that's what they're depending on the programmer for, is to be able to go and problem solve, to look at the problem and then imagine, how could I structure some code to do that? So as soon as possible, you want to not be watching videos and reading tutorials. You want to be at the code, picking a problem to solve and trying to figure out how to write code that solves it. You can look up stuff about how to do individual components of your program, or how do I do this part, how do I do that part, that's fine. But you don't want to be following somebody's instructions for how to structure your thing. You want to be coming up with how you're going to structure your thing and practicing that skill. Personally, I think that's enough. I think there's enough material out there. I think the tool's good enough. It's perfectly free. That if you just take seriously doing that exercise on a regular basis, you will develop competence as a programmer. And you'll do it in the way that you'll actually be able to deploy it as a practical skill. So that's my recommendation. That's what I think is the best way to learn C#. And thank you for your question. It's the first question I got on this stream. It's a pleasure. Alright, I'm going to clean this up and go back to what I was doing. What was I doing? I went on a big old tangent. No problem. What was I doing? Oh, I was about to run this and see if it actually loads the